Bring the weight to your right leg and the weight to the left leg. There, and start finding your centers, your lower center, the area of the womb or the dantian, where your chi, sexual energy emerges up, your chest center. And align those with the upper brain as you go side to side. So you could stand in one leg and then on the other leg and maintain your balance. Yeah, beautiful. And now we are going to turn, keeping the lower center facing front, start spiraling up the chest to the right and to the left. And then the left arm can go. So when the chest goes to the right, the arm follows. And then the right arm goes. But the movements, they're coming from the spine, from the fluidity of your being. And then you alternate one arm and the other arm. And you can keep bringing the weight towards one foot and the other foot. Aligning these three centers, the three brains. And with your left hand, you make a circle in towards you and away from you and towards you. So it's clockwise, comes like a galaxy circle, the Milky Way shape, right here in the palm of your hand. And the right hand spirals out. The left comes and the right goes out. So it's an interplay of yin and yang, in towards you and away from you. In breath, out breath. And pause. Slide your hands feel the pelvic bone, and slide your hands slowly towards the knees. Pause there at the knees. Bend your knees, stimulators, minute centers of energy around your kneecap, stimulating your quads and all the tissues and energy centers around. And now we will place one elbow on the left thigh, bending the left knee and keeping the right knee straight. And then the other one. And bend one knee, and now we send the elbow out, and then bend the other knee. To lengthen the spine, start awakening the spine, and slide all the hands all the way down towards your feet. Keep your eyes open, lengthen the back of the legs, and separate your seat bones side to side. Aiming your tailbone towards the ceiling above you. And slowly come up. So let's do like a few movements of a form that I call the sword form, to get the sword out of your spine to relate to the world, and then you will put it back. Okay? So let's start in circle out. Legs together. Bring your hands behind your head. And start like pulling from your C7, T1, your vertebrae, pulling up energy from the tailbone, up all the way until you create your sword. And hold it with the right hand being wrapped and the left on top.
The left on top?
Yeah, the left on top of the right. The left hand on top of the right. Yeah. So bring it to your vital center first and inhale there in the lower center. Bring it to the heart and to the top. Bring the sword to the left shoulder and cut across. And let's do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And now walk towards your right. 1, 2, 3, cut. Put the sword on your... Yeah, do it in place. Put your sword on your right side. Walk, 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 cut. And do it in place. Cut and cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we'll go forward diagonal. 1, 2, 3, back. 1, 2, 3. Above the head, down to the floor, and behind you. Again, in front and behind. Carry your sword and a little walking in circles all around, looking around all around you. What things are coming to tight you and cut? Circle the other way. And cut. And now start holding with the sword facing up. Start making a soup. Gathering all your life experiences, all your emotions, all the people that you met ever, all your life. You make this delicious soup that is called life. All the waves on the ocean.
Soup is spicy. The soup is very spicy.
The spicy soup that you live and your identifications, your names, your ideas, your dreams. We'll bring it up. We give those experiences, the awareness to the experiences, out to infinity. And then we bring back the sword, our life force. We retain it and put it back in our spine. And let's close, inhaling, circle in, and exhale. Yes? And now I will give the context for this movement, what they mean. Yes, hello, 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 hello.
Good.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah.
We have a visitor here.
Oh, who is there?
You
have a kitty? Or is it a doggy? Or...
I'm gonna show you. He wants to say hi.
Oh, honey. Oh my God, you're
His name is Bamboo.
Oh, what a great name.
Yeah.
Bamboo.
Bamboo, yeah, because he looked like a little panda bear when he was little, black and white. And now he's 7-year-old, like gray hair. Yeah, that was great. I'm a little out of shape, a little bit of a breathless, a little bit. But yeah, you said you're going to say the context of the movie.
Yes, and then I want to say something about that too. The energy passes that I learned from Carlos Castaneda, they tell a story, they use a different language of descriptions than regular exercise, where a workout, which is super beneficial and wonderful also to do, but he used movements as a way of accessing a different syntax, accessing the magic side of ourselves. So the movements that will tell a story, and this short form is a system of movements. I put them together. He taught me how to do that. And the story is our life story, how our energy gets entrapped sometimes, the energy in the spine doesn't flow in a certain way and generate disease, and how we can pull it out in order to learn to relate to the environment and the world with the real self, the one that rests on the spine and flows the energy of who we are, and relate to the world in that way, establishing boundaries, but also opening ourselves to relate to the world of energy as energy beings. And making the soup at the end and bringing back this, in the view of the series of ancient Mexico, what I learned in shamanism is we come to the planet as to enhance our awareness. The universe wants to enhance its awareness through us. Mm-hmm. The awareness of consciousness itself manifests, not only manifests through us, is us. We are it. And through the life experiences, when we review our life experiences, we can extract the awareness of it, the learning, because it's not having the experience what makes you wise is to reflect on the experience, to recapitulate the experience when that makes you wise and free. And is when you told me about your recent trip to Orlando, in the recounting of the trip is where you gather yourself and that what that experience have pop in you, maybe pop a corner of awe, right? Mm-hmm. That it was dormant, and that experience helped you to pop it up, and now you are pop. Yeah, you are like, oh, I can feel that now in all circumstances of my life, not only when I am in Disney World. So that awareness of life experience, Seer says, at the end of our life, when we depart the physical body and we depart from this amazing blue planet, we give back to that thing, immensity out there, that dark sea of awareness that they call, we give back the gift of life through the recounting of our life experiences, but we can retain our life force. So for that reason, I put back my sword in my spine. Mm-hmm. Because the energy that is on the spine, when the physical body dies, there's like the movie Six Grain,
Sense?
no, what is this? The 14 ounces or whatever.
Oh,
The
right.
weight, remember?
The weight of the soul or something.
Yeah, but it's scientifically studied that when someone dies, there's something that it loses the weight. The soul leaves the body.
Mm.
So Carlos Castaneda really, your life purpose is to retain your life force.
Mm-hmm.
So how we reconnect to our life force first.
While we are alive.
Yeah, while we are alive.
Otherwise, you're like becoming like living zombies, right? Kind of.
And we are not a pilot. No, most of the
Right.
world population. Some doctors and some of my teachers said that in the last hundreds of years, human beings have, or thousands of years, we have lost our connection to our magic origin. We have lost our connection to nature, that we belong, that what we are to our own nature. And that separation creates such a pain and suffering and trauma that is being carried in our bones, in our blood, in all the liquid, the water that we are is a little bit twisted because of that separation. For the reason when we go to the ocean and you go on the beach and you put your belly in the sun, it feels so good. And you get harmonized again internally.
Mm-hmm.
Nature, earth nature, it has such a power of like a good mother to align us back to what we are. And then we go out again into the world and get all messy again and twisted again. And it's beyond the physical, emotional alignment. It's the alignment with your destiny, with your entelechy, what you are meant to be. We are energy beings. We are meant to have an energetic spiritual expression in this physical experience because we are an energy beings. So we come into the world, this magic world, planet Earth, but we get caught by the age of 3, 4, 5. We start getting caught into a system that we sometimes call education. A system of that can be questioned, the word, a system of socialization that limits our perception and make us forget of who we are and make us forget of that before you have a thought, there's an intention. And then the thought is formulated, and then the emotion comes as a reaction to the thought. And all that happens in less than a second. For every thought we have, even before the action, there's an intention. And I think our job is to become aware of what our intentions are. And the realigning with the earth, the coming back home, is to give us the space and the opportunity to become aware of the intent that has been calling our expressions of who we are really, the intent that is to cover our consciousness, so then we can liberate ourselves and our consciousness.
So you said there was an intent before the thought. Is this intent coming from ourselves, from somewhere else, from both?
Very good question. I think it's both. I think we are being influenced all the time, bombarded, but a lot of tensions. We have the influences of our own emotions, the world around us, our ancestors, and then the universe at large. So, and energies, good energies, bad energies, even though I don't like to call it good and bad because I don't want to be in the dualistic conceptual mind that makes everything good or bad, but they are influences, the things that influence our thinking, our emotions, and our physical body, our tissues, that they're coming from the outside.
Mm.
So becoming aware of those and trying to become a master of my inner world, to take the time to sit and listen to what is going inside me. Because the socialization training make us a further separation, not only from Mother Nature, but from ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we think that only the outside world is the real world. And what happened inside is not that important. But what happened inside is the utmost importance, is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have the answers and we do have the direction if we pause to listen to them.
Yeah. I was going to ask you something when you were saying, and then I just lost it. So, okay. So, what I understood is that there is a lot of intentionality, intentional forces. And the point, the moment that that becomes our intention, correct me if I'm wrong, is when you allow or you acknowledge one of them and that becomes yours.
Before I answer that, let me, as we are speaking right now, so my intention can be in trying to formulate in words ideas that could be understood and trying to sound good and interesting. Or my intention can be being the being which is in silence in between the words. And my intention is just to be present. So if I am being guided by the pressure of doing an interest podcast, then I may fall prey to the external intention of sounding good and interesting. But if I want to be more loyal to my soul and to myself, I will be vulnerable to enough to be on the spaces between words.
Yeah, I have a huge tendency of trying to understand things. I think probably intellectually, like try to make things click, like, and I'm going to let that go for a while. So, the end of our conversation, and just let silence absorb what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful desire. We all wanted to understand the world and how did I ended up here and what is my life purpose and how long do I have? How many breaths do I have left? I think of that every day. When I get too narrow-minded, when I start zooming in because the pressure of daily life as a single mother, it brings me to zoom in into, okay, do you have your homework done? And I need to talk to the teacher. I need to pay the bills. I have a client waiting for me. And I lose the perspective
Yeah.
of what is below me. 70 more than 70% of this blue planet is water and this, and an immense reality under the ocean with millions of species and life forms that I will maybe never see and that I will never know, that is just swimming just below my feet. And then above me, there's that immensity of the stars and the galaxies and all the incredible things that we get to know through this amazing scientific, and my lights are going like this, scientific research. I studied, in college, I took a few classes on physics and astronomy, and it's one area of life that I love to explore and learn what we know about binary stars and about supernovas, explosions, and black holes, how they absorb light and they can materialize that into that stars. Or the light went on. And material for formation of planets. And then it's me here in this third plane of existence with the little human challenges, very narrow. And when we get too narrow, we disappear, we die. It's like being, as you said before, right? Being asleep awake.
A zombie, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We become zombies. So hey, Aerin, snap out of zombie. Okay, we can get to school on time. Yeah, I can see my client. Yeah, I can do the podcast. It will be all good. Yeah. So
Yeah.
intentionality. And what is where intending is generated in the belly? Is it in the mind? Is it in the heart? Where intention is born?
So you're asking me?
Yeah, because I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know.
And the intention.
I know it's not from the mind. It doesn't seem to be from the mind. Probably from the heart or the gut, something.
Yeah, your intention to do this podcast, for example.
It's more from the heart.
There you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And as you said, I can feel it. Yeah, I can feel your heart.
Yeah. So I was thinking, Aerin, you mentioned the name of Castaneda, and then you mentioned the name, yeah. And then you also mentioned the seers, how they saw how we lost this connection with the intent of the spirit. And it came to my mind the notion of paradise, the loss of paradise, and right, and yeah, the loss of paradise. And also, I remember, like in The Power of Silence, one of Castaneda's books, he talks that man had direct access to the silent knowledge.
Yes.
And then he lost it. And then the assemblage point went from the silent knowledge to the reason.
Yeah, to selfish.
And he said that most people are in between them. There's just an exception. Some people are still in the extreme of silent knowledge. I would say maybe the shamans, or somebody really wise. And the other people on the reason, I believe probably the scientists, like a genius, like Albert Einstein kind of thing. Anyway, why don't we talk about Carlos Castaneda and his path? Because I don't think many people, especially nowadays, are aware of who he was and what his path is about.
Yeah, I just was going to say that who am I, or how I am becoming, and what this work and meeting him have, how that affected me and my life and the direction of my life. What you just said about silent knowledge, I think this what I'm learning about my experience in the last 30 years on the path of shamanism and growth and inner development is that silent knowledge is happening right now as you and me speak. This idea that to do a spiritual work, we have to separate out, we cannot have families, or we cannot go to Disney World, and we have to go to a special retreat, very secluded and very expensive for some people to do real spirituality. I don't believe on that. And actually, my experience with Carlos Castaneda taught me that it's on the daily, minute actions of your daily life that you wake up to those highest states of consciousness, to your higher awareness. We can go and do a lot of retreats and have high experiences of high, being so high, but being high not necessarily always means being aware or being conscious. Yeah.
As you said that, as you started saying that silence is already here in this very second, I felt like this, like lifting clarity.
Well, the Sears of Ancient Mexico they talk about the first, second, and third attention. The first attention is the daily life affairs. And you think that this reality is all we have, the concrete material reality. And then the second attention is entering into this higher stage of awareness, where time is not really linear and there's not really a past or a future, but things are happening simultaneously in multiple dimensions. Right? And then the third attention is how you enter into the multiplicity of the merging the first and second attention. I think it's in the merging of all of who we are that we exist, that we understand, and that we really learn. Yeah, the merging of, I don't know, with, I think I know, the merging with the vulnerability, the merging of, I don't know how long do I have to be in the planet, but I am going to put purpose and awareness to every second of my time here. And when I see myself losing myself, I'm going and grabbing the ice cream instead of the blueberries, because we have that choice all the time, 24/7 available, to reach for something that will nourish my soul, my life purpose, my experience, my awakening, or reach for something that will distract me and delay my process of awareness.
Or give immediate gratification.
Yeah, right. That then will leave you empty and more sad than before.
Like a fast food. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not about don't eat fast food. Because the moment you say, no, I want to go and have a pizza, okay? And yeah. So it's not about saying no. It's about the conscious, when I merge all what I am and align my three centers, and then I feel, like you said, the silent knowledge. I feel that if some people call it God, Mother Nature, like so it hovers over you, something that comes in, oh, it has my back. I'm not alone. Then choosing, then I can see I have a choice. And the blueberries will be as delicious as the, or even more, the gratification will be even deeper than the cookie or whatever.
I remember when I did macrobiotics for a little while, brown rice became the best food in the planet.
Yeah, so still
Right.
is. If you grab, 1 grain of rice and just put it in water, or just let it be, it develops a plant. It's the potentiality of a grain of rice of giving life.
Mhm.
And the electric magnetic field of a grain of rice. For the reason when your cell phone gets wet, people put it on rice
Yeah, that's
to
right. Yeah.
absorb it, so the magnetic fields is nurturing us as energetic beings.
Mhm.
And the other ones is going to feed us, or I don't know what it does us. But the beauty of being a human being, we can, notice the difference.
Well, I would say it will fill our stomachs. That's it, right?
Momentarily, because then it makes you
Momentarily.
more hungry, because it's not feeding your soul, and we are soul first and then flesh.
Isn't it interesting that in the process of socialization, brown rice, small example of a brown rice, all the nutrients and everything, and then industrialization. Okay, we need to take out this because this is going to rot in the rice. We need to make the rice as white as possible. You know, I see this reflected in so many things, not only on the rice. Rice is just an example, right?
The all the manipulation of food, the processing, the adding, and the removing the good out of the food and adding stuff, for example, the milk, what they do to the milk, all the processes, is also what the socialization process they do to us. Or I don't really know if to call it the socialization process itself. I wish I can have it, maybe the indoctrination, or because to be socialized, we are social beings, and some social skills is very nice, like to say hello, how are you doing, and when there's a red light, you stop the car, and those social rules are for the betterment of everybody. But when I say socialization, I mean the underlying intent that tells you you are not enough, you need to make more money, or you need to know, and if you don't know, you are dumb, and white is better than black, and all that creepy thing imposed that separates humans between themselves and make them fight between themselves and make them destroy the environment. I think we are one of the few or the only species that we destroy our environment.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, that's part of the monoculture too. Like I went to an Asian market here in Austin, and there was so much variety of corn, of other vegetables that we don't see in the West very much because there's a tendency to uh, limit diversity and create like a monoculture. Of the tomato has to be this tomato, the banana has to be this banana, and other cultures kind of preserve a little bit of the diversity. And again, I see this reflected in many things. But anyway,
So the
that's
invitation of Carlos Castaneda was to, through practices, that they remove your attention from the demands of daily world. I mean, you pay your bills, you have your job, but you reserve some time to practice your movements, to practice what the remembering of who you are, to practice this questioning, who am I? Who is talking right now? What is my intention? Allows space for the natural state of who we are, like babies, kids, they walk on the street and they find a stick on the street and they go like, yeah, becomes a sword, and the state of, oh mom, look what I found. That is a natural state, is our birthright that we have. And when you are in awe, your judgments are suspended. the conceptual mind stops. It's like, it's a breath taking, it's a breath giving. And
It's
in
like
that
everything
state,
becomes more beautiful, right? Everything's
and yes, including yourself. And in that state, there's no more words. You stop fighting with yourself. You start fighting with other human beings. You start fighting with nature.
Mhm.
You are it. So they use, for example, one of the teachings recommendations besides sustaining a diet with no salt, no sugars, no dairy, Castaneda.
When you say no, is no like zero?
Un poquito.
Minimum. Mhm.
But when I met him, because in my family, my grandmother had diabetes, he told me, you cannot have zero sugar for you. And I didn't have, for at least several years, I didn't even have fruit, zero sugar. And I remember after he died, I was in college and they used to have the vending machines. They used to have apples, and I saw a red apple. And I put $1, I don't remember how much was it. And the apple rolled down. I grabbed the apple and I had a bite. And it was the most amazing. And I was no high and no drugs. It was the most amazing experience. How inhibition, when you inhibit some habits that you do by compulsion, not by awareness, and you inhibit them, the rewards of experiencing life in that state of awe. The other recommendation that he gave that is very important is about sexual energy. We are, as electromagnetic beings, our sexuality is what ignites our electricity.
It's the
Right?
core of our energy, right? It's the very core.
Yeah, our life force. So how to allow the life force to come all to involve you, to make your skin and your eyes shine, to innate your brain, to use it to study, to use it to sustain your states of awe instead of dissipating it. How to use it for that, not as repression, because repression creates more problems. You will do it
Reaction.
more. Yeah, no, it's inhibition. It's not repression. Inhibition is a conscious choice of cycling the compulsion, transmuted it in a conscious action. He talks about, our inner dialogue, how we talk to ourselves, the tape that is running in our heads all the time.
Oh, yeah. Very familiar.
How to, okay, stop that, replace that with sober commands. So you command intent, the intent that comes before your thoughts. So what runs the inner dialogue? How that became so automatic. I remember I have this crazy experience, okay? My son, Axel, he was around 2.5, 3 years old.
His name is Axel, like Axel Rose.
Yes.
That's nice.
Axel.
I like this name, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he was walking on the floor playing with his, he has some wooden blocks. He always loved to play with Legos, but he has these wooden blocks and he will build these castles and houses, incredible things, just with little pieces of wood. And he was on the floor. And suddenly, and I was talking with someone on the phone, and suddenly he started going like this, and he said, like this. So I hung up the phone. I said, honey, what's going on? And he said, there's a voice in my head. There's a voice.
Hmm.
And he looked at me, and I was like, oh, shit. That is, he started talking to himself. the installation, Carlos Castaneda will talk.
Wow. So you grabbed that exact moment.
That right moment.
How old was he?
Almost 3.
Wow. I got even goosebumps here.
That is around 3 years old is when the brain made all the connections possible. We make all these connections. And then from 3 years old to 25, that the brain fully develops, the prefrontal lobe is a process of pruning. And we choose which connections we are going to keep repeating and which one to discard.
Interesting you said 3. I have 7 in my mind. I for some reason I learned that after 7 years there is the formation, and then after 7 it's like a big repetition. You think it's 3?
Well, what I study, the brain neuroplasticity and brain research is finding things out all the time. I think at 7 years old is for the reason in some schools they don't teach kids to read or to write until they are 7 because of all these formations and connections that you wanted to establish first before you introduce the alphabet that will make you go into a narrow tunnel of life, experiencing and perceiving life.
Now Castaneda talks in his last book, The Mother's Tongue.
Yes, the poem of the mother, your mother tongue, and the other syntax.
Syntaxes, yeah.
For that reason, the ancients and in shamanism, we practice movements and breathing and visualizing and enhancing other part of ourselves, of other ways of knowing and perceiving the world besides this. All the centers of vitality in the body, they are perceived in movement. The liver, the gallbladder, the organs, the energy rotates in a spiral way, except this center. No, this is in the view of the seers, and the idea is to enhance your physical body strong, to allow to push out the domination, whatever has, make the center flat, dualistic, and let it circulate again, and make it a spiral. That is the idea. And there are many authors, philosophers, including Nietzsche, that he used to say, your thoughts, if your thoughts are dancing, then pay attention. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Having thoughts that they dance, ideas that they move through your spine and make you like, this is so juicy.
So the children then have that spiral still, right? Before the installation comes.
It seems like.
Yeah.
I cannot.
I can feel it. There's something about, especially like babies, there's some purity, openness, light, right? You can feel it.
A direct connection, a direct perception.
Some of my moments of more aliveness, I remember, was when I was part of the, going to the workshops of Tensegrity from the mid-90s to early 2000s. And there was something that we could get from those workshops that is like a vitality. And I would come back to Brazil and I was like, the whole world would open up, and I was kind of a different person. It's definitely a powerful.
In my experience, I've learned by making mistakes and smashing my head against the wall thousands of times. Once you arrive to that state, there where discipline comes, so you can sustain it, not by control. I don't want to talk to anybody so I can be high. Not by control, by how do I keep sustaining? And for me personally, that I love to do a lot of things, and because I have a lot of energy, but I need to rest and pause and eat, remind myself that I'm still in the human form.
Mhm.
And I need 3-4 meals a day. And then that is allows me the sleeping, the resting, fully deep sleep, and birthing a night, and waking up in the morning is like, thank you, thank you. The first thought, thank you, one more day. Thank you, one more day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is my practice. And there's some days that I wake up and I can feel how something comes rushing towards me. You know, in those movies when you see someone, I don't know, with a knife or whatever coming towards you to attack you.
With a soundtrack of suspense.
Yeah, or
Dun, dun,
something
dun, dun.
come towards you, and you're thinking,
Like an Alfred Hitchcock kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. Shall I go to the left, to the right, down, up? How do I move? And this morning, today, my dog, she comes and wakes us up, but sometimes her clock doesn't work that great. So instead of coming at 6:15, she comes 5:30, and it's way too early.
Whoa. All right.
Yeah, well, I do wake up 5:30 on Sundays to teach my class, because I have this network, incredible network, of people all around the world. And for the last 14 years, we have been gathering every Sunday. And it's 7 a.m. in Hawaii time, and it's, 9 a.m. in Moscow, 9 p.m. in Moscow. So we try to all get together. So I have to wake up already very early.
So you
I
need 1 hour and a half.
At least I want one day of
preparation.
the week where I can stay a little longer.
Right.
Yes, I want that at that time in the morning to be silenced before the class. Yeah.
What
So
is
my
your
dog,
practice in the morning, Aerin? What do you do after
yeah, I
you
just was
wake up?
going to tell you today when the dog jumped and I said, I have to say to her, no, you know. And then I was like, I felt that coming. Like I thought that will come to say something negative, like, oh, it's too early, it's too late. Oh my God, this dog, or I'm too tired. You see, I saw it coming. So I went like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I fell asleep completely again until she wakes me up again. And it was 6:30, and it was like, okay, now yes, thank you. And she's so cute, and she's so happy, and moves the tail every morning, so happy. That is the beauty of having other creatures around us.
So you just gave an example, a practical example of what you said before. You saw that negative thought coming, almost like an entity,
Like,
right? And
yes.
then you had the silence or the space enough to do a command, like you said, you command with the intent, and then you commanded to be grateful. Like
Yeah.
you just
Yeah, I
get an
didn't.
example.
Yeah, I don't think that pushing it away, if you push it away, then it will come back stronger. It's like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You almost, I don't know if, I don't know,
Wait.
but
You said
you,
thank you to that? You said
no, I
thank you to
didn't say
that
thank you.
thought?
I don't know. I just took a breath. Thank you, thank
Said
you, thank
thank
you.
you to life, right?
Yeah, it's just from my belly. Oh my God, another day. Yeah. So that thing that came, just becomes flowers in my face.
And we all have this power. Every human being have this power, right? We just
Yeah.
forgot about it.
Yes. How the attack becomes in martial arts. You learn, you use that energy and you wrap it around and let it go behind you and in front and bring it back. And they transform into something else. So then I met Carlos Castaneda in the 90s, And I never knew about him. I read his books when I was 14 years old. It was my first book, Journey to Exland. And it was so incredible because it felt like reading the book hooked me into something, not into him as a person, into something that he was pulling down from the universe. And then years later, I was studying the Gurdjieff teachings with a group, and we are doing shamanism with this beautiful group of people in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, where I was born. And one of them said, "Hey, Castaneda is coming to Buenos Aires." And it was like a wave of the ocean, when you are surfing. And it happened to me a few times that I'm in the water and I get distracted. And a big wave comes and,
Especially
it
where you
takes
are.
sometimes
Land of
more than
waves.
a minute, a long minute and a half under the water, trying to, okay, let it pass. I learned to just stay under the water, and I know it will pass eventually. Because at the beginning I was like desperate, and I learned to be under the water and let it pass, and then finally I come to the surface. It was like a wave like that, and tears came out of my eyes. Was not a thought, it was intent coming through me. The intent that, without me knowing, my body had established when I was 14 years old and I read Journey to Exland. And I said, what? Is he alive? Is he a person? I mean,
is he for real?
Is he for real? And then I came to Los Angeles, which is another incredible story, because in my family, my grandfather was a socialist, and I serve in the community, and I really embrace the socialist ideas. And so coming to United States, where capitalism and with the whole, in Argentina, we suffer the dictatorship. In Brazil too, in Chile. So, and the dictators that were trained in Texas. Really? Viola and Videla Galtieri, these men that took over our democracy in the late 70s, 1976. So I had like a little grudge internally that probably was not really mine. It was what I learned from my culture. And
what you said, indoctrination, right?
Yeah, because during the dictatorship, it was really a hard time. It was a hard time because you couldn't have access to books and to reading. And in a school, they have to wear this uniform, and everybody was so tight and scared and dictator. And fear. Oh my God, fear that as I talk to you right now, I still have a little bit still on my inner thighs. It stays in your tissues for forever, the fear of going on the streets and walking every morning to school, not knowing if I will get there, because in every corner there was a military, and they used to ask for documents.
It was worse than Brazil then. Brazil was not so strong, I think.
Well, there are more than 30,000 people that they were killed.
Oh yeah, the mothers, the Argentinian mothers. Yeah, I know a little bit of the history. Yeah,
the mothers, the fathers, the uncles, and the daughters and sons.
No, but there was like something like the mothers movement, right? Something like
exactly. The mothers are the one that initiated the consciousness process of everybody knowing what was going on. When I was 15 years old, I used to walk. I used to get out of school, take the subway, and go all the way to downtown, to the plaza, and walk with the mothers. I don't know. I in my family, my parents actually supported the military regiment. So it was, I don't know what in me, I always felt compelled to those ones that suffer, to be with those ones who suffer. Is my I don't know, it's my where I was born with.
sounds like Jesus.
No, I don't want to be Jesus. That is too
No,
much to carry.
it sounds like he was always on the side of the people who are disadvantaged
Yeah,
and everything.
I could relate to that. I could deeply relate to that and understand that in ways that I couldn't understand why. So
Compassion thing.
when going back to Castaneda, so I was in Argentina, I came to the US in spite of all those ideas, overcoming those. I came to the US, and after taking the first weekend workshop, he gave a talk to the Latinos because the workshop was in English and there were many people coming from Mexico, from Brazil, from Argentina. So he will give a talk in Spanish, his mother language. And on Mondays after the seminar that he enjoyed very, very much. And after that talk, he said to one of the organizers, and come to lunch and bring Aerin and this other person. That my name was not Aerin at the time. And I ended up in that lunch, and when I arrived to the lunch, he pulled a chair and said, "Sit next to me." And I was like, "What?" So it was this intent of something bigger than me that has been guiding my life. And as I grow older and I stay longer in this planet, seeing, feeling, and sensing that the most I allow that intent to guide my life, the better is everything. And so from here, it's like something is dreaming us all the time. Dreams that they are much bigger than our own individual dreams. Makes sense? I never imagined speaking English or living in Hawaii. I didn't even know Hawaii existed. And here I am, I'm living here full time for the last several years. And arriving to Hawaii was to arrive to connecting again to nature, because I was born on the city. I was an asphalt, concrete girl, like Castaneda called me.
I totally relate to
Asfalto.
that.
Yeah, I never have even, I mean, in a pot I will see a plant, but I never had a nature experience when you are, swimming with the turtles and all it's scratched by the rocks in the ocean and you don't care, and the black sand is cleansing all that pain and trauma ancestral out of your body, and you just let it happen to you. I think it's the coming back to nature is the beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
And
Interesting
that
you say
doesn't
that.
mean that you cannot do it living in a city. I don't want people to feel that you are living in New York and you cannot reconnect because you are living in New York and you can still have a pot with a plant in your house.
And you have the
Embrace
Central
it.
Park. And you have
You
the
have a
Central
Park. There's always something to embrace, and the deeper externally and internally. But for me and my personal journey and experience, it has been this encounter with let life loves me, let nature loves me. Because
There
I
is a
was,
saying, yeah. There is a saying from Castaneda. I'm going to say in Portuguese because I don't remember how it's in English. It's like, já me entreguei ao poder que rege o meu
I have
destino.
given to the power that rules my fate. I have
And then there was something
nothing to
else.
defend.
Yeah. Can you finish this?
Yes, I have given to the power to rule my fate. I have nothing to defend. Oh shoot! I'm sorry. I should know.
It's okay.
I used
We
to
can
know.
see in Google later.
I
It's
can
something
let
like I
my
have no
the eagle to
country,
be
no,
free.
yeah.
No, that is another one. Warriors have no country, no name, no family, no name,
Oh,
and
okay.
only life to be lived. And under those circumstances, the only thing you have is your control folly. And what he means by control folly is not taking yourself so seriously, not believing that this reality is all you have. Only my name is what I have, or my country have is all I have. No, change your name, change your country.
It's funny you say not take yourself so seriously. I was gonna do the interview like this, but I thought it was too silly. But since you open up for humor, look what I got at Disney.
Oh, do
Isn't it
the
cool?
interview like that. I love
Yeah.
it.
So you put like there's a magnet below my shirt, and then you put the little thing.
Oh, and he
Isn't
cannot,
it
he
cool?
doesn't fall. You can move your shoulder
Yeah,
and he
I
doesn't
can
fall.
move my shirt. Yeah.
Keep
Uh,
it, please.
Oh, you
Welcome.
want me to keep? Okay.
Please
Yeah, that's
keep
Mr.
him.
Yoda, little Yoda,
Of course. The
symbolizing
one that
wisdom.
embody the wisdom. Yeah.
Yeah.
The wisdom that you put it on your shoulder. Maybe put it on your left shoulder and see that what
Okay. Let
happens.
me see.
You have the magnet also on
Yeah,
it.
here.
You can move the magnet, put the magnet on the left.
I saw a kid wearing that. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna get one too. Okay.
There. Do you feel a difference to have it on the left?
I actually do.
Yeah.
Hmm. I feel lighter. It's like, yeah. Why? Why there's such a difference?
Well, they differentiate the left and right body. They call it different bodies. Instead of the left side or your right side, because the energy fields how one operates, regulated by the brain, the left hemisphere and the right is completely different.
Is it? Oh yeah,
And they
that's
say
right.
that
Yeah.
the right body likes rational thinking and gets things done, and you finish the list of everything you want, an accomplishment. And the left body is not linear. It goes slowly. It gets lost. It gets it goes deeper into the underworld, into the sea. And the merging, the idea is the merging of, because the right body dominates. And as you can see, a lot of things in our daily life are done with the right hand. How you open a door, how doors are built, the cars, unless you live in Australia or in England, because, the right hand dominates.
Even the school desks, the children's desk, right? On the right.
Yeah, on the right. And if we could allow the left side, I recently realized that I had dyslexia. I have a little bit of dyslexia, or maybe I heal it, but I didn't know that I had it until finally recently. I started I take a lot of dance classes because it's my dream. It always has been my dream. And I'm fulfilling my dream now of dancing. And the beginning with the left, because all the bar movements in ballet, you start with the left hand on the bar and your right side. And I've been asking my teacher to start with the other side, has changed everything. And everybody in the class goes like, oh my God, I don't have any more pain on my back. Because, just to change the habit, how powerful it is. And I became better at dancing because I was, was like too right. So anyway.
I remember one of the times that I went to the US for one workshop. I bought a book. I forgot the name of the book, but I think it's like drawing with the left side of the brain. And they
Yes,
said,
the
right?
left
And then
body
they said,
sequence of movements. Yeah.
yeah. And there was something like they said, don't draw anything from your mind, like the idea you have from that. Draw, like forget about your concept and draw as you are seeing with your left, with the right side of the brain. And that works. Like you start writing exactly what it is. And the final result is so different than the one if you're drawing with the left side of the brain, you know? Because you draw what you have a concept of, not the real thing.
Exactly. So that is the invitation of that Carlos Castaneda invite me to shift my consciousness to the left side, and then both. When the left side is awakened, then naturally they merge both body and they become more than the sum of two. Is when the energy body takes over. The sword that we talk about at the beginning. Your energy body. Seers believe that we are born double, like two luminous spheres. Is the self that contains the mind, the heart, your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, mind and body, one self. And then you have a double, an energy body is your double self. And there, your energy body is like your backpack that you carry as a child. And as time, the socialization process, it starts separating you from your magic, from your self-direction, your self-knowledge. That backpack moves away, literally. So our job is to bring it back, to reclaim it.
Mm-hmm.
I am an energy being first. And then I'm having this beautiful human experience.
It has a lot to do with creativity, right?
Yes. Yes. How creativity moves is your sexual energy. Has to spiral up. So when I met him, it was a hard decision, He used to play this song in a workshop in the early 90s. You only live twice. That Nancy Sinatra sang. You live for your life, or once for your life and once for your dreams. This dream is real and true. So pay the price. You only live twice. So what is the price to pay? Is let go of your miseries.
Let go of your miseries.
Yes, your miseries, your suffering, the identification that you are that, whatever story you have made in your head. I made in my head an incredible story of misery and suffering, which was real and it was based. I mean, look, I was born 3 days later, right? I was born in the hospital, baby number 7. Pregnancy number 7, baby number 6 of my mother. Imagine she went to the hospital, boom, I come back home. And I go back home, and my brother that at that time was 3 or 4 years old. I was in the place in a Moises, they call it Moises, in a basket. And he came and boom, threw me up from this high, up down on the floor. They rushed me back to the hospital.
Oh my God, how old were you again?
Yeah, 3 days old.
No way.
And that is the brother that really tormented me.
Oh, what a pity tyrant, huh? Pity
Fantastic because they no fantastic way, because I don't think that any kid should be tormented, or any kid, no one should be abused, or no one should be an abuser. Because when I have to watch out myself, because when you are being traumatized as a child and being a victim, I have to really I went to therapies very early on by myself. I said, I need therapy. I knew I needed therapy, because otherwise I'll become the perpetrator.
Yep. That's the
That is the other
usual,
side
yeah.
of being, you know, so, and that journey of overcoming and realizing, wait a minute, I can redirect my life. I need to connect with myself. I need to connect with my spirituality. I need to learn. I need to go to a therapist. And again, I was very early on, and I started reading books, 14, 15, 16 years old, looking for answers because I was told that I was the problem, because, adults don't take ownership of their issues. And it's so easy to point out what the problem of the other person is. Everybody said, you have, this problem, this issue, and no one,
I like
does
it.
it.
I like it. Yeah. Can you leave the hand like that? Can you leave? I like when you say like there's one pointing out and three pointing in, right?
Exactly. And you have to do like this. And I said, wait a minute, what can I change in me? That is the healing of, for example, Ho'oponopono. You see something which is so beautiful living in Hawaii and contributed and participated in this community, because if someone is off, we don't push away that person. Teacher said, okay, let's see how you dance with it. Someone that everybody's dancing this way and this person is dancing off time. Okay, so how we adjust and integrate it, and she becomes part of the dance. And we all become the dance. The dancer becomes the dance. The practitioner has to become the practice. That is what I saw in Carlos Castaneda, that he was a practitioner. That was the main difference that I see between other spiritual teachers.
Which you also had access to.
That also had access to, yes. But he really took the work seriously. He said, I am not serious, but the work that I do is serious. And he took it seriously. And he became the work. So the work changes you.
He was definitely not serious. He was hilarious.
He was hilarious, yeah. And brilliant. And a poet and very affectionate. And he cares so deeply. The becoming the work, and you enter into that is the price to pay, because you have super vulnerable, you are vulnerable, and then you cannot tell anymore anybody, even your own clients, what to do, because you realize this is not working, and who am I? My purpose is to change myself, or accept myself, better say, accept that I belong to nature, to the divine, accept. One of my teachers, I love this, he said, the real human suffering is not being ourselves. Pretending to be someone else. Pretending to be, yes, I am this, I am, I did it. Not pretending to be someone else and not being who we are.
It's like the monoculture that I talked previously about the tomato. Instead of being who you are, like a unique human being or a unique type of tomato, you want to be like the most successful person.
Hey, you want to be celebrity. A kale or celery.
Yeah.
I'm a tomato, I'm not celery. I am red, not green. I'm sorry.
And that reminds me that fable, the black swan, right?
Yes. So it's interesting in this moment in the planet, because we don't know the speed of things and the speed that everybody's going through auto distraction. The destruction of the environment is our own destruction, and the lack of fertility in women, and the speed of this
sexual confusion in kids, right? The gender confusion.
Yeah, that is yeah, I don't know if it is a confusion or if the awakening for something better and wider. I think they are being very honest about, wait a minute, if I identify myself as a female, I am limiting my possibilities. What about if I identify myself as a female and male and the sum of both with this, the third? Why I have to identify myself only as one thing and wear pink or wear blue and pretend to be a male with all the restrictions that implies? I don't know. I have try not to give any opinion about. I don't think that is a confusion. I think, well, in one level, there is something about social media that is very obscure.
I was talking more about
right?
the indoctrination and social media.
Yeah, social
Because
media.
there's some
Yeah.
books giving to kids very young, some books in schools that they're pretty much indoctrinating them before they even woke up for their own sexuality. You know, I have
it's
strong
like
opinions about it.
stealing the life force, which is your sexual energy,
Yeah,
and
before
eating it.
they're like in puberty, you know, they don't need to know anything before that. That's my opinion, at least.
Yeah, Carlos Castaneda used to say, in the view of his teachers, then we are being human beings, awareness and life force is being consumed like we consume chicken. I don't eat chicken, but but for people that eat chicken,
like me.
we eat whatever we consume. There's something consuming us too. That we are not on top of the chain. That is our arrogance to think that we are at the top of the chain and at the top of the pyramid. It's a very, because I see these kids every day, and I'm in the world of kids. So it's a very deep, the world of being with kids every day. I have kids in my house every day coming with my son. So I have a relate.
You'll talk about more teenagers, like kids,
life.
like teenagers, right? Not little kids.
Where, you know, and during the pandemic, it was brutal what was done to them. They are having to deal, as a teenager, I needed to deal with a dictatorship, with oppression, with repression, with confusion and fear.
Yeah.
And these kids, they have to be with a world that is very confusing and misleading. The world is not themselves.
Even more than our generation, right?
Yeah. So they're naturally questioning who I am, which is a very good question to ask yourself, who am I? Or becomes the question, what gender am I? Or what gender I want to identify with? Or what am I? And then that, I think what you're trying to say is being manipulated by outside forces that they are negative, which is a very good question to ask yourself, I think. What gender am I? Right? Because it's that as a teenager is the question to ask, who am I?
Yeah. In the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned good and evil, that you don't want to label those things because they can limit perception. My perception of what is good and bad, I think you said good and bad. What is good and bad? For me, everything good is towards growth, right? Love and joy, and construction. Everything bad is destruction, manipulation, control. You know, that's how I see this.
Yes. And we can call it the oppositional forces. You know, there are forces of contraction and forces of expansion. And it's
maybe we
this
need that to grow,
dance.
right? Maybe we need that.
Yeah, in terms of physics, you know, the sun, our star, maintains its shaped by forces of contraction, burning the hydrogen, and forces of expansion, of burning the hydrogen, the forces of expansion, and the contraction collapsing to the gravitational forces. So, you know, this contraction and expansion generates this life that we
Reminds
are.
me that reminds me the definition of tensegrity, right?
How,
Tension and
sorry?
integrity. Tension and integrity. I mean, I researched the term tensegrity come from Buckminster Fuller, which is an architect, and he realized in nature there is always a friction between tension and integrity.
Yeah, to maintain the
think
integrity
yeah,
when you contract and when you let it go. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
coming back to when you
So
were 3 years old and your brother left you
3 days. Oh,
3 days old, and then you had to go back to the hospital.
yeah. What a journey, right? To be born
Right.
and be
I mean,
thrown in
with
the
that,
floor.
do you think that kind of mold who you are in a way? That adversity that you had?
Definitely. That adversity. Um, yes. And also gave me it almost feels that it's, as if myself have consciously chose that adversity for me to ascend.
Wow.
Because my soul, you know, if I had a very loving Latino mother, probably I will still be living with her at home because my
With 8
personality,
children.
my soul, not my personality, but my soul, my, you know, I have this, I just, the softness, I just, you know, for me it's very easy to get spaced out and be in the moment and in the relationship. And so if I didn't have a mother that pushed me away, literally, no, you know, you don't. So and this mother and the environment that tell me all the time, you don't belong here, you don't belong here, you don't belong,
Wow.
you don't
So
belong
he was
here.
envious of you. He was just like, you
I
came after
don't
him.
know.
You came after
I
him.
don't know. Yeah,
Oh,
I
so you stole his throne.
probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's something we are born with, a destiny. We are born with a purpose, something that we come here, a specific color. We all have one color, you know, of the rainbow that we come to enhance and make it more bright. And yeah, so that adversity has been the spiraling force that throw me to search for different answers and think differently and really question. You know, when my parents they were supporting the military, I would go like, wait a minute, but there's these women in the plaza reclaiming the life of their children. So very early on, I was able to see these multiple realities and that everybody has the right to create their own and they have their own truth.
Yep.
And the best that we can do is try to ascend into states of awe, states of heightened awareness, so we can embrace all what humanity is. Because the most that we judge and they push it away, the most worse we will have.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, the more that you try to unify, collectivize, monopolize,
Yeah.
less richness the universe is and more
Yeah.
reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. Then, yeah.
So how then you went back to hospital and then there was nothing major, then you survived and everything?
Yeah.
Of course you
Yes. I
survived, you were
was,
here.
well, I have, as a kid, I was then, when I was 80 years old, I was in bed with rheumatic fever. I got sick first with mononucleosis that my little brother also had. And then I got rheumatic fever that is an immune disease and attacks the joints in your body and created a murmur in my heart. So I was in bed and I remember being on states of profound silence and remembering I am spirit. And this environment is too hard for me to be in. And I wanted to die, but not wanted to die in the bad sense, but I just wanted to, okay, I came, I did it. Take me, angels.
Get out of this carcass, this
I was with
biological.
all my angels there. And the Nawal Carlos Castaneda told me that in that moment, it's like another being attached to me. And he said, you have another sin on you.
Oh, wow.
Because I said, I felt that I left my body. I was born under the stars of Pisces. So Pisces is about oneness and sacrifice and swimming in the ocean. And the Pisces, the fish, one fish goes down and rescues the depth truth and brings us up to the surface, right? So there are two fishes swimming and bringing the awareness on the underworld up to this plane of consciousness.
I
So
never
the
thought
reason
about
for me,
it's like a yin and yang kind of thing. Yin and yang.
no,
No?
I don't
I just had this image in my mind.
I don't know enough to compare to that, but
Because it looked like two fish, one up and down, right?
Yes, for that reason, the closeness to the cognitions of the seers of ancient America, the Mayas and the Toltecs resonate so much with me because it's like, oh, that is, they created under the pyramid of the sun in Teotihuacan. You have a tunnel that it was built 1,000 years before the pyramid was built, where women they used to go under the ground to give birth and do ceremony. And the babies, they live the first months of their life in the darkness, which is very good. Under, they will come to the light, and they were brought up to the light in little amounts and very slowly, and not being very protected. So they're going under and to the deep feelings, to the depth part of ourselves, and bring that awareness and knowledge up to the daily life. No, that is I think is my mentality, what I came here to develop for myself or for others.
Mm-hmm. Do you know your Enneagram type?
From the Enneagram tradition? Yes, but I don't want. Yes, you want to go into the Enneagram, or let me finish talking
It's
about
just curiosity. Just curiosity.
Yeah, the Enneagram is a great study. I also study
because your description of yourself made me think that you have the same Enneagram type as me, based on family history and everything. But anyway, that's distraction.
Yes. That separation that we talked at the beginning, the separation from the self, the separation from nature, that is in our tissues and bones, and how these states, these practices, they comes to awaken ourselves into different states of being to overcome the victimization and the perpetrator states of mind. So the practices are done every day, daily, until the day you die, Castaneda said. And the practices involve the movements, the breathing, the recapitulation, which is the review of your life.
Let's talk about it.
Dreaming the recapitulation is a technique where it's a little different than psychoanalysis, or maybe it has a lot of similarities in the sense that you recount life experiences with the purpose of absorbing the lines of energy that you left behind, mostly in relationships with other people, that you leave that part of yourself that were left behind with that person, and you recapture them, not to hurt them, but to make yourself whole. Now, if you right now, for example, if you think about your other shoulder where the Yoda is not, and is that 100% your energy, or you have someone else's energy there?
I'm tending to say that is not totally my native energy.
Yeah, and then you go to every part of your body and say, okay, my lower belly, what foreign energies from other people I may still have that I want to return because it belongs to them. It's not good or bad. It's like, okay, it's like having in your house furniture that is not yours and say, wait a minute, this towel, I will return it to my friend. We went to the beach and she forgot her towel in my car. I give it back to her. It's her and I have mine, because every object in your house is an extension of your energy field. And you don't want to have too many objects, because you become weak in the sense of less energy, because all those objects, they have your energy. So how to maintain your energy field with integrity, and what part of your body they belong to you or no. So that is what the recapitulation does, and also allows you to update your interpretation that you made when you were a kid. For example, when most of my life until I was 45, I thought really deep inside that my father didn't love me. And I thought, and in my tissues, I carry that because he was absent. He would come back home and he won't even look at me. Eye to eye, never, or play with me. He would turn off the TV. Didn't
Looks
want
like
to
mine.
be bothered.
Yeah. Sounds like
Didn't
mine
want
too.
to be bothered. He was overwhelmed with his own life. And then recently, I was listening to this podcast of Iraq veterans, that they come from Iraq, from the horror of the war, and they come back home and they go to the doctor because they need to make sense how you integrate that life experience to your daily life, how you look at your kids when you just have to bomb a city and kill hundreds of people. How
including
you
other people's kids.
Exactly. How you integrate that, and how Western medicine, the approach is so limiting and it doesn't help and leads to suicidal. And he was talking about how that process, that journey of healing himself. And I was listening to him driving here between the largest volcano in the world, which is the Mauna Kea, and the Mauna Loa, and with the Mauna Kea, where the largest observatories are. And I'm driving through this magic place and listening, and something on me went like, that is my dad. My dad was a Marine, and during World War II, after World War II, he was a Marine, and he saw cities being destroyed. He saw that, and then he came back home, got a regular job, and had a bunch of kids that I don't know if he really wanted to have, but he got my mom pregnant a lot. And he wanted to study, actually, but he couldn't because he needed to make money and to support all of us. And he got lost on that, and he used to smoke.
Such a life of sacrifice, huh?
Yeah, and before when he was not even 40, he had a heart attack, and he was
Really?
given Western medicine, give him allopathic medicine. They put him on Valium, like your dad,
Yeah, yeah.
and he
He
was
ended up,
gone,
yeah,
and he was
really.
gone from then on. So by
Gone,
the
you mean
time,
like, you mean alive, but like zombie-like?
well, he was there, but
Not really there.
Valium is very potent. I mean, it will make me so
Yeah.
sleepy. How it's an effort. So I think part of his, and didn't have the resources, the tools, the therapists to come to help him to all those parts of himself to be
And also there was a taboo,
integrated.
right? I think therapy at that time was more taboo than is
Yeah, no
today.
one in my family did therapy at that time. I was the first one. They say, "Hey, I need therapy." I opened the book of the medical insurance and I chose, and I went by myself, and I was 15.
That's so great. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the great side of not being monitored, having so much freedom that I could do whatever. The bad
And
side
you
of
ended up
that,
by doing therapy, you ended up healing your family too. I believe. Like whatever
I don't
part of your
know.
family. No, I
I don't
like the
know.
constellation, family constellation kind of.
Oh, yes, I think something gets healed somehow, not in a linear conceptual
Of
way.
course,
I
yes.
think in a more energetically, and when if any of my family members will do the work of rediscovering themselves and grew up as conscious spiritual beings, they will see the healing. But if you
Mhm.
keep yourself in this narrow focus reality, judging the spiritual world, I don't think that, it doesn't get you. It gets to your energy body, but not to your physical body, because they're both
The
separated.
backpack is too far, right?
In the backpack is too far.
It's so interesting the parallels. My father, he's still alive, but he worked as a surgeon dentist like the whole life. And at one point, he went to the US during the Vietnam War and he saw so much destruction. He saw people coming back with no faces and they needed to reconstitute the faces. And I think he got pretty traumatized about that. And I think he was never the same when he came back. And that
Yeah.
explained many of his
I think
behaviors
those hard
later.
experiences, if we are giving the context, the healing, and to integrate them to ourselves, they can make us stronger.
Yeah.
Our shortcomings are our route to power. Whatever your shortcoming, whatever our job is to transmute those hard experiences into
Yeah.
big lessons,
Yeah.
big teachings
Yes.
of life.
Some people are lucky or their destiny is to do that. And unfortunately, many people succumb. Like my wife's father also had experience with war. He was a doctor in Vietnam. So his job at one point was to choose who was going to be treated and who was going to be not be treated. It's like God, who is going to die, who is going to not.
Very hard.
And lo and behold, when he came back, he had a really hard time,
And we
post-traumatic
thank those
stress.
doctors because they did save life. We thank both your dad and her dad
Yeah.
and my dad for their
Yeah.
service. But they
Yeah.
did have to sacrifice a lot. So my dad is not that he didn't want to see me or he didn't love me. He couldn't. But it's not
Yeah.
that he didn't want to.
That
So
make a whole
that
difference.
that makes a whole difference. And I since then I feel my dad is right here with me. I feel his love and his support. And as a female, it's so important to have those big shoulders of a Marine dad, amazing dad, supporting all my journey and supporting my child and supporting, so how we can, our ancestors become, instead of the influence, the things that they didn't deal with and they didn't heal, is our job to heal it somehow. because
I have a lot
otherwise
of
we pass it to our children. So that thing of not feeling loved by my dad, as I heal it on myself, my child doesn't have to carry that.
Mhm.
And if me feeling a victim, as me healing that, my child doesn't have to carry that.
Mhm.
Even though I work with him, my child Axel has been bullied in school for long, have some experiences with that. And
He's kind of like
and
he's kind of short or something.
no, he's gorgeous
No,
and tall. No,
even then he
not
was
for that.
bullied. Even then.
Yeah. So because it's something that I passed on without realizing, even though I did a lot of therapy.
Oh.
So for that reason, still there's things that we pass on because we are not aware.
And
So
he might be a sensitive
our
boy too,
job,
right? He might be a sensitive boy because of it.
our job is to name it when we see those energy playing in our consciousness, the victim in me or in my child, or you name it, put a name on it, and you grab it by the neck, or you ask the divine to transform it into information useful for life, transmute this energy. Please, I co-create, I do an affirmation. You practice, that is your practice. You like the thought coming this morning to my head, you just practice until something you become the practice.
Mhm.
So it's important that these energies that they come to distract us from our focus, that you name it, that you say, right now I'm being very distracted. Right now I want to go and have a drink. Okay. I put an affirmation, I co-create with it. I don't have drinking problems. I'm using it as an example. I co-create with divine love to transmute that energy that is coming to tempt me, to
It's a
distract me.
conscious act. It's a conscious act instead of just
To
a
tell
reaction.
me, don't do the podcast because it's not going to be good. You will sound horrible. You have nothing to say. I do have, it comes. That thoughts, they still come constantly. So I'm constantly dancing. Oh, you don't dance. So I'm not going to embrace you, And inhale my sexual energy coming up. Bring it up. And I will question the thought. I will avoid it. I will turn it around. I will do whatever in the moment of fluidity, whatever the moment request, I will respond to, instead of reacting or falling prey of my thought. Oh yes, I'm not good enough. I should shut up. No, I don't want to feel a victim, and I don't want to become a perpetrator. Those are the ones that yes, I am better than you. It's the same, the other flip of the same coin. People that feel superior, people that feel inferior, both spectrums of the human form. Castaneda will say the human form, it goes to the extreme. And okay, is there a third possibility? Yes. Oh, wonder, mystery, magic. That is the third possibility.
Aerin, what is to lose your human form? That always intrigued me.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think I will have different answers at different moments right now. But right now, my answer is to lose the human form is to have the discipline to sustain states of awe.
Hmm.
The human form is the installation of this foreign mind, is the living trapped in the dualistic conceptual mind, which is fantastic when I have to pay taxes and I have to choose the best accountant, or I have to, it serves the purpose of when it's being guided by the other mind, the mind that integrates left and right. So through the conceptual dualistic mind, it can express itself. But when the dualistic conceptual mind ignores all what we are, ignores the ocean, and I believe that I'm only the wave. Look, the wave comes, it goes high up. Yeah, I'm so cool, and look how cool I am when I'm young, and I have money, and then crash on the shores and dies. We all are going to die. So are you the wave or you are the ocean?
Mm-hmm.
Are you the human form or you are the ocean?
Mm-hmm.
That
Do you
is the
think that
question.
when you said when you were young, you said something an experience, I think was probably when you had that condition with 8 years old? What, the mononucleosis you said?
Yeah, rheumatic fever.
Rheumatic fever, that something shifted in you. Do you think they kind of lost part of a human form then, or something
No, because I
happened?
was 9 years old. The human form is formed with the stories that you repeat to yourself, the story of your life experiences that you keep building, and you keep repeating, and you become a solid story, unshakable.
Crystallized.
Yeah,
Crystallized.
I am this doctor, and this is what I do. So I go
Mm-hmm.
home, and I'm a doctor. In the office, I'm a doctor. I am buying bread at the bakery. I'm a doctor. No, you're a doctor only at the clinic. When you are home, you are the husband, you are the wife and the mother. And when you are buying bread, you are buying bread. You're a client.
So funny you say that. My father used to wear white everywhere. Oh boy.
I love your father.
Yeah, me too.
And because that is what the system supports, that solidification, supports narcissism, which is the ultimate identification with the self. That you believe that you are that idea or you have of yourself, which is not really yourself, because some people, it's so funny because we can all see the truth of other people, and it's so hard to see yourself. For that reason, the teachings, the practices, the getting together, they open the heart and telling the truth and being vulnerable, because we can all see where you are stuck, but you still keep repeating, you are the problem, you're the problem, you're the problem. But
It's
we all
so easy
see
to
your
see
game.
now. Yeah,
It's so
my
easy to
wife
see
and
others.
oh yeah.
Exactly. In an intimate relationship, she can tell you, Moses,
Oh
this is
my
your
God,
problem.
yeah.
And you
Yeah,
can tell her,
everything.
you
Yeah,
exactly.
everything is me. I was like, can you look at yourself? Do you do the same, right?
Yes, exactly. So the amazing, beautiful opportunity in a marriage is that when you get married, it's just the beginning of, okay, I'm committed now to change myself, I don't want to say change, to growth. I committed to surrender to love. I committed to experience universal love through my wife and surrender and say, honey, you're right. I am lying. Honey, you're right. I'm defending myself. Honey, I'm lost. And be vulnerable and tell her the truth. And if she's a good person, a good wife, goes, honey, me too. But in some relationships, the other partner may use that vulnerability to manipulate you. And that is when the relationship doesn't work.
Thankfully,
You have a beautiful wife.
We know better. Yeah, we know better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we have our
because
downs, but then we
your
always have.
entelechy, your soul, and your both vibration, you are together to help each other vibrate higher, your higher note, until you take the last breath and you are to vibrate higher. Any relationship is meant to help us vibrate higher. My dog that jumps in my bed every morning, she says, I cannot not smile. You see, she's like,
Right.
sometimes I try to be miserable, but I cannot. She's so happy. It's
Yeah.
like, you're right, she's my teacher.
Mhm.
So I am eternally
I think
grateful.
many people nowadays, they look at relationship in a way that they can serve themselves instead of look at the relationship as a source of growth, right?
Exactly. How do I serve you? The
Yeah,
relationship.
instead of what am I getting here? If I'm not getting
Yeah,
anything,
exactly. Do what I want. Well, that is the human form
yeah.
and the working of that. I am very grateful for this opportunity. I feel really good about this podcast. And I
Hmm.
feel really good about you. I got to know you in a more deeper way.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're a great guy with a good heart.
Thank you.
So thank you, honey. Thank you for
Okay.
inviting me and bringing with me Castaneda and my dad and the teachings of the Seers of Ancient Mexico and all Castaneda, his students and his
Mhm.
colleagues, that they were real practitioners. Practitioners practice. They don't talk about it, they practice. Let's close with a sense of immense gratitude for this moment together. And Yoda, I love you, Yoda. And
He's
there you have it
behaving very
there.
well.
Yes.
His head is a little down.
And the opportunity. Good luck with your podcast. Good luck for you. Okay, best
Thank you.
wishes
I'm
and
feeling that
intentions.
I'm at service of something higher.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Thank you.
Much love.